So, hi, Molly. Nice to see you again. We saw each other in New York last week when it was sunshine and really warm. I hear the weather has changed since we have departed. It's much colder. So, I wanted to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yes, absolutely. It's so great to talk to you again, Anna. Um, so my name is Molly Hourihan, and I live in New York. I work for a company called Hill+Knowlton as our SVP of Creative Strategy. I've spent my whole career actually in PR as a creative strategist, blending the worlds of both strategy and creative, and following a really interesting career path in that way, which I think has just opened tons of doors, both in my mind and professionally and personally. And I love it so much. It is so part of who I am, and a lot of passions that I have, and digging into people and understanding human psychology and human behavior, and all these things that I just find so personally interesting, and that I am excited that I get to explore professionally every single day. I work across many different sectors. I work across different accounts, so I get a wide variety of briefs and questions and problems to solve and things like that that like keep me on my toes and keep me fresh. And then separately from that, as a person, I am married to my husband for a couple of years, and we've just had our first son last year. So
Wow. So busy, busy, busy life. So, how did you get there? How did you become what you are, who you are today?
yes, so my journey in strategy actually started truly in the very beginning of my career. I think I had done one or two internships somewhere where I wasn't loving it. It was in media, it was in social, like very specifically social media, and just a couple of interesting small companies that weren't where I wanted to be. And then by the time I'd found my next internship, which turned to a more permanent role, I remember having a conversation with my CEO at the time. Since it was a very small agency, there was maybe 15 of us in the office. He had come to me and said, we want to roll out something called the strategic planner in our businesses around the globe. Would you like to do that? And I very honestly said I had no idea what that was. I think I was a year out of college at that point. And he said, well, you know what? Go look it up tonight and tell me tomorrow. So I literally Googled it and tried to Google it many, many, many different times, because turns out strategic planner can mean very different things in very different areas. And from what I could see in the little bits that I was kind of understanding and piecing together, I said to myself, you know what? I'm into that. I feel like that there is a little bit of me in that, but I wasn't totally sure. And I was kind of just going on a little bit of like gut and energy, so I didn't overthink it, which is great. And went in the next day, said, I'm happy to do it, and spent the next 3 years teaching myself what that really meant. And just trying to like learn from groups on the internet and communities and articles and reading and things like that, and trying to bring as much of that as I could into the agency. And I was very fortunate to get that offer. I was very fortunate to be in that position. So I kind of just like grabbed it by the horns. And I didn't really know anything else, right? So I was just all the way in doing it. And the fact that I got to connect with my creativity and turn that into something I could do professionally for me was like a huge deal. I didn't even know that that was an option on the table. So it was like a very interesting introduction to how creativity could show up for me professionally now as a working professional adult, and how that could actually turn into a career path.
Amazing. So you literally jumped off the cliff, but you didn't go to the beach to check if the water is deep enough and all of that. So
Yes,
I would
correct.
correct you. I don't think you're fortunate. I think he saw that spark in you and knew you could do it. If not, he wouldn't have asked you.
Yeah, I mean, and it's
You're
true because
very good, and that's why he chose you.
well,
Now,
I very much appreciate that he did that. Yeah.
what's your main motivator? What are your top qualities, or what is your main motivator for rocking up every morning and
For
doing what
me,
you
it
do?
literally ties back to that sense of creativity. My brain just naturally wants to solve creative problems and think about people and brands and culture and behavior. I know even when I'm not at work, like my brain is just doing that. Like I'm out in the grocery store and I'm seeing X and Y and Z, and then I'm thinking about this, or I'm sitting at home with my husband and I've already named 5 different companies that I want to start and I want to create, and products that I want to build. And I've already drawn out the logo for a brand that I want to have, things like that. That is just I don't know. I think that that's just like some of the fuel that my brain runs on. And I love that. I love the energy it brings to me. I love the fact that it turns a new page in my brain every day. And I think that is why I love coming to work every day. That's why I love being able to do this, because I literally get to solve a completely new problem every day in a different way. And I need different tools to do it. I have to go down different paths to explore it. I have to learn tons of new things in order to be able to do that. And all of those things, even though I might not be thinking about it so consciously all the time, but all of those things are the things that give me like personal energy, personal development. They make me feel excited, interested, alive, all of those things, just by basically learning something every day. So I would say creativity, problem solving, definitely big motivators for me.
And what are some of the pitfalls? I mean, what are some of the challenges you had on the way?
Challenges along the way. I would say that because I went into strategy at a very junior stage of my career, there was a big element of feeling like I had to prove myself for a very long time, and probably honestly still sometimes. But in the early days, to walk into a room and say, "Hey, I'm the strategist," and people be like, "Well, you look like you're 10. I'm supposed to buy a strategy from you. I've been in this sector for decades. You know, I'm 45 and 50, and I've led X and Y and Z." So I think that there was this element of like growing into it, and realizing that like I am who I am. I am the age that I am. And I had the title that I had. Like it was just, those were things that I would have to face in those rooms. And I think, sometimes it would give me anxieties or things like that, which are never fun. I think that that's probably where my imposter syndrome gremlin was born, um, who I still battle to this day, just to be as truthful as possible. But I would say, being in rooms, learning how to be in a room where I wasn't always the most in the know. I didn't have all the information all the time, and still having to act on strategy and still having to deliver and do my job and not really let on that maybe I didn't have all the information or know everything in every room. That was a really hard balance. That was just a really tough conflict that I would go through in my own brain a lot. So I think it was just working with the tools I had and reminding myself of where I am and what I could do and how helpful I could be, and like where to start each day, where to start in every room, how to create relationships. Um, all of that was the different elements that kind of pieced me through that.
Nice. And top tips for other women?
I would say top tips for other women are a few things. I would definitely say one of them is I was in that moment when I was asked if I wanted to do that. The fact that I was asked so quickly, sometimes I'm grateful for, because I didn't have time to overthink it. And I don't even think at that stage of my career, I even had the wherewithal to say to myself, am I qualified? Have I done enough of this? You know what I mean? Like I was at zero. So the answer to all of those questions was no. So I didn't even have to painfully overthink that. But like, if I did overthink it, there's a chance that maybe I would have said, well, maybe I could learn from somebody, or maybe I could go in at a more junior level, or maybe I could do it part-time. I could have almost talked myself out of an opportunity. Whereas what I would try to tell people is keep talking yourself into every opportunity. If it's laying at your doorstep, it's there for a reason. And whether you are going to find out that reason tomorrow, or you're going to find out that reason 5 years from now and 10 years from now, like I feel like I keep relearning every time I reflect back on my career. It's there for a reason. Talk yourself into the opportunity. Don't talk yourself out of the opportunity. You're going to have a lot of people in your life who are going to try to talk you out of different opportunities, whether it's to be in a certain room or to be on a certain presentation or money or, the next step in your career. So just remember to keep being your own advocate and your own yeser.
Brilliant. And what are some of your goals or dreams for your future?
I would say one of my goals, my dreams, I want to keep, one of my big dreams, I would say, is to keep creativity part of like my everyday fabric. So wherever I go, whatever I do, making sure that I can keep coming back to that and filling my creative cup as much as possible. And that's kind of a bigger one. But I would say my bigger game, my long shot here, I would say in the back of my mind, it's always ticking of like, I've always wanted to create a company. I've always wanted to create a company and a brand. Um, and and I think that that's one of those just like big old dreams that sits back there and percolates over time. And maybe one day it'll pop to the fore.
I'm sure it will. So thank you, Molly. Thank you for your time,
Yeah.
and lovely to see you again.
Lovely to see you.